We're going live a little bit early here. All the Valkyries and the Lynx are closing it out here. Close game, and it's a crazy one, man. I think. Did you expect Minnesota to come back like this? Because I definitely did, and I was wondering if the Valkyries still had the legs.
100%. But I thought they had maybe built a substantial lead and wouldn't fall off this badly on offense to maybe withhold a little bit of a lead right now. Minnesota's definitely come back. A lot of Bridget Carleton threes, a lot of really good defense to force shot clocks and bad shots, kind of stuff we've seen from the Valkyries in the fourth quarter. But man, they've got me in it right now. Like I have notes from the entire, like I tried to take notes so I could remember them going into this podcast. And I have notes like up until halftime. And then like during the second quarter, I was like, screw this. I'm like so like in the game right now. I just want to watch.
You're locked in. Yeah, I mean, we're just live streaming because we're kind of doing a little bit of a watch along here at the end. We'll get our normal episode started once this game is over, but they're still in it, man. Like they're down one. They just need to figure out something on offense, and you could just tell they are spent. Like, when's the last time Monique Billings has played this many minutes in a game? It's probably had to be, like before the All-Star break. She's just probably like so many minutes
versus like Vegas when they won that first game against them. And that I don't know the true stats behind that. That's just off the top of my head. But a lot of that has to do with Temi not playing right now. And I'm wondering if Coach Nat would have found this had Temi played, because
do we know Temi's injury?
It's like right knee or something. Get it.
That's the ball.
Oh my goodness. 52 seconds left. 57 seconds.
You're ahead of me by like a second. It looks like. This is hilarious. They're fighting, man. These women are fighting. Yeah, she got to make that. She's got to make that.
Burton's gonna wish she got that one back.
She's got to make it. That's like a must. You can't.
That's like a classic Burton layup too. Just like super contested leading up to it from the upper body and just kind of like finagling it in.
Yeah. She's gotta make that shot. This game was very much tracking, like you said, like it's kind of one of those games that we've seen this year. But it's the playoffs, and you're trying to figure, okay, can they hold on? More than likely they're not. Then the Lynx were getting away with a lot of physicality. She looks like she traveled. Lots of physicality, lots of forearms to the chest to get open, stuff like that, which is that's playoff basketball, like we were talking about. Like in the NBA, they will allow those things to happen. I think we're seeing the referees let a little bit of things, go by in this game that maybe in the regular season they would have called it, and you just got to kind of tough through it. But they're fighting. Look, they're tired. They played so much better today than they played the other day in Minnesota. And it's great to see how they came out today. And look, they're down 3. They still have a chance, 20 some odd seconds left. But, this is like the do or die. And it's kind of one of those things where, as fans, you're like, oh my gosh, is this the end of the season? I don't want it to end. But that's sports, right? Like that's just how it works. That's why this stuff is so interesting and so exciting and so important, is because you have these moments where it's like you got to win or your season is over. So this is just classic stuff. This was a fantastic game.
I also feel like it's classic Valkyries to kind of play this way after people may have given up on them. Like that's like their thing. Like if people don't believe in them, they're gonna, myself included, I thought they were gonna I don't know how badly I thought they were gonna lose, but I think I had maybe said hopefully they keep it within a couple possessions, but I did think they were gonna lose this game. And they still have a chance to win it. I'm not ruling it out yet. I think 25 seconds left on the shot clock. They're down 3, depending on their timeout situation. They can get a quick 2 here, foul, let Podhalla do its work, and hopefully you get a missed free throw. I don't think you go for a 3 here. I think you go for a 2. But
and then you gotta play the foul game. You gotta play the free throw game.
Yeah. They kind of have some 3-point shooters out right now, but
I mean, you gotta get you got to get Chechi. If you are looking to shoot a 3, Chechi needs a little bit of space, though. She proved she proved that she could go in that corner and shoot because she's so tall. She might be able to get it off in the corner. You have Rupert. If it's Veronica, she's going to have to do something with the ball to get some space.
But this is like the 49ers in the Super Bowl where you don't want Mahomes to have it at the end because he's going to score. So
there you go.
There's your quick two from Zandalicini. Let's get a quick foul.
That was a Steve Kerr.
Oh, they're not fouling. I thought it was 25 seconds left in the shot clock. There was way more time.
It looks like they put a couple seconds on there.
They're going to let this possession play.
So Minnesota is essentially, if they shoot and get an offensive rebound, this is where the risk is.
Yep.
So the Valkyries are not fouling. There's about a 3.5 second difference in the shot clock.
Oh, this is good defense.
In the game clock.
Shot clock violation.
So the Lynx just kind of let the shot clock go all the way down. So it's 4 seconds left, and this is the possession. This is your season right here.
They have yet to do it. They have yet to have a buzzer beater win.
Who do you want? You know, we don't have a lot of time, but who do you want to have the ball?
Veronica make a play.
Do they have enough time for her to make a play though, or is she just going to have a one-track mind and just go to the bucket and hope to get fouled?
You know, they've gone to, that I think about it a little longer. They've gone to Janelle a couple times, that Phoenix game. They've gone to Zandalicini and that Atlanta game. They went to Burton in the Dallas game. Like, it kind of does. There isn't much consistency about who. It should be just who's hot, like who's hitting. Like you said, Zandalicini in the corner. But I would probably just go Burton pick and roll. Do you have time for a pick and roll where she gets downhill and maybe can draw a foul? I don't know if they'll call it, but just, do one of her layups. And this time, hopefully she makes it, but still potential for a foul.
Yeah. This is what sports is all about. This is, a historic. I was trying to wonder. I was telling Crystal how important this game is. If the Valkyries were able to pull this one out, is it the biggest upset in the history of the WNBA playoffs?
To win this series?
No, just this game.
I don't have the stats. I obviously, I've only been watching the league like heavily for the past 2 years. I've been kind of watching it for the past 4, so I don't really have the upset stats. I don't know if an 8 seed has ever beaten a 1 seed. But I got to imagine, just given the season that Minnesota's had,
Minnesota's a historic team, right? Like, they had a historic regular season.
Yeah, this is.
I'm very interested to see what Natalie called here.
We're about to go silent audio, bad podcasting, but that's because this play's about to start.
Well, it's okay. This is only for the live stream. We won't put this on the audio, but it's kind of cool. This is what it's all about. This is. I mean, this team is just so much more interesting than we ever imagined, and comes down to this final play here to see if they can push it.
Repair passing it in. Repair the inbounder.
Push it back. Send it back.
Chetty's getting this ball. Chetty's getting this ball. Foul. Quick foul.
So they have foul to give. So 2.8 seconds left, and
I'm about to spoil this for you. How should I pause it for 3 seconds? Here, I'll pause it for 3 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Why not? All right, here we go.
All right, inbound's coming in.
Just gave it to Rupert. Same play. It's the same play.
Oh, tough one.
Oh my God, you spoiled it for me. A good shot. That's what you wanted.
Not that was a bad play. I think she's probably the one you wanted to shoot the ball on this possession, though it would have been interesting to see getting the ball back to Rupert. That's what I thought they were going to do, having her inbound. But heck of a performance, man. Heck of a performance.
I thought they were going to get this one. I know. Well, I knew Minnesota was coming back. I knew the fourth quarter was not their friend, but they hit a couple shots that I thought that there was a chance. But then you have Dejanay Carrington making a deep bank three. A few of those plays, and then a few bad communication on defense. While we were potting, Nafisa had just a wide open left corner. Too. Like, how's that just wide open? But you can't ask for you literally. I mean, you can ask for a win, but you can't reasonably ask for any more than what they just did right now.
Yeah, fantastic. And this is part of the thing. Is it was very clear who the better team was this season, But if you can be competitive and you can play the way that they played, like this team is going to be the darling of the Bay Area until they aren't. And what a fantastic game. Really happy with
looking
how
at
this
it
game.
though, Veronica 4 for 12, Chechi 6 for 16, Janelle 4 for 7.
Yeah, she probably didn't shoot enough. Would be my guess.
Yeah, probably not. I'm kind of just insinuating like should it have been Janelle? Should it have been Janelle? I did call for a big Chechi game, and I thought
problem. You know what the problem with Janelle taking that shot? Who's guarding her?
It's a good question.
Fee. It's got to be Fee, right? One of the better defensive players in the league.
Yeah.
Okay. Why don't we go ahead and kick off the episode here as the post game goes down? Let me find. I think we have like a 30-second countdown. Let's play a 30-second countdown, and then we'll go live with our show.
Skip ahead through.
All right, we're live talking Valkyries Lynx game 2. The Valkyries, I'm going to guess that they had the lead in this game for about 95% of it. Down to the fourth quarter, the Lynx, we were feeling it. You kind of felt it as it was happening, even before it was happening. The Lynx outscore the Valkyries 26-11 in the fourth quarter. And this is after the Valkyries had a big lead at halftime. They outscored Minnesota by 8 in the first, then outscored Minnesota by 5 in the second, outscored Minnesota by 1 in the third, and then Minnesota outscores them by 15 in the fourth quarter to come back in San Jose at the Shark Tank to beat the Valkyries, to end the Valkyries season. What a fantastic basketball game that we got to see tonight.
Incredible. I think I said before I don't know, were we live and this is going to be in the audio feed all the 12 minutes before this?
That'll just stay on the live stream. We won't have that in the audio feed.
Well, now I got to re-say everything I said already. But I was saying that you can't reasonably ask for much more than what the Valkyries did tonight. Of course, you want the win, but this is the best team in the league. And losing by 1 is incredible. The game we just watched was awesome. I think if you've been watching the Valkyries throughout the whole season, like we have, and maybe listening to this pod 1 or 2 times, like something we'll always say is they just aren't good in the fourth. And
they exhaust. It's almost like they exhaust themselves, and then when it comes down to the end, and we actually saw it in the fourth quarter. And this was, honestly, this is not the reason they lost, but this is part of it, which is they started the fourth quarter with Veronica on the bench, and they had Carla in the game, and Carla and Kyla, I believe, were the backcourt, and Carla, Carla's hot and cold, right? She's very streaky. She can handle the basketball against the pressure because she's got good handle, but when it comes to kind of decision making, when to shoot, when to get the other folks involved, hasn't been her strength necessarily, but she's kind of got that spark, and she just didn't have it. It's almost unfair because she was sitting on the bench for almost the whole game. I think she had 2 different spurts of action.
Yeah.
And in one instance, was it Carlton who fell on top of her? She got a rebound and she kind of was protecting the ball, and one of the Lynx players fell on top of her, and she looks like she hurt herself a little bit, but that was much earlier. So that moment of trying to get Veronica Burton a few breaths, I believe they did the same with Janelle, and their lineup was very, I guess we can say, defensive. It was harmful to the defense, and Minnesota went on it was like a 1-minute burst And I had texted you saying they need to call timeout. They need to get Veronica back in. There was some foul. Veronica came back in, but she could not stop the avalanche. And they just couldn't score the ball in the fourth quarter, which kind of what you said has been the story of the season. So very predictable kind of the way that they lost the game, but also at the same time, just a brilliant 3 quarters of basketball. And actually, let's go back because in game 1, I think you kind of saw the power of Minnesota. And I was saying, because they're at home, I think they're going to play better. You're going to play better at home. You're going to play closer. You're going to play smarter. And I thought Nakase had a brilliant game plan in how she defended Nafisa. It was, we're gonna double team Nafisa sometimes when she kind of least expects it, and we're gonna bother her that way. She's gonna have to pass it out, and other people are gonna have to make shots. And for 3 quarters, it was friggin' brilliant. And then in the fourth quarter, you saw a little bit of a slippage in some of those doubles. You saw a little bit of a slippage in their ability to kind of, keep the plays in front of them. And then Minnesota just got hot. Minnesota got on their run. They got on their roll. It was like this ball of mud rolling down the hill and just getting bigger and bigger and bigger until the very end when they lost. But they had the shot to win the game. They had the shot. Chechi had a shot at the buzzer. A tough shot, kind of fading away to her right at the buzzer. Could not make it, and that was the game. But what did you think of Natalie's Coach of the Year, by the way? Natalie's game plan today?
She kind of, I think last podcast I was saying that I felt like the moment that the game turned was when maybe it was more of an offensive oriented lineup, kind of abandoning the defense a little bit with 2 bad defenders on the court, is where I felt like they kind of lost the game in game 1. In game 2, you learn that Temi is hurt going into the, literally, I didn't see the report. So I started watching and I was like, oh, different starting lineup. This is probably the 27th different starting lineup they've used this year. And it's Rupert instead of Temi. So, they kind of had to do this because of, again, a personnel thing. Temi not available. You have to use Rupert, and Rupert's not that strong of a defender. So you had Rupert and Chechi in at the same time. And I was like, Natalie's just completely listened to what I said and said, I'm going to do a 180 and have 2 bad defenders to start a game. But I didn't realize that Temi wasn't available, and it worked. They just, like you said, made some of those defensive adjustments, and not necessarily from a personnel standpoint, from a scheme standpoint. And, they really was amazing for 3 quarters. I kind of felt like the shift in this game was Chechi sleeping on 3 and Bridget Carlton just hitting 3 threes in 4 minutes.
Yeah, that was so unfortunate because she's the sharpshooter on that team. She's the Chechi on their team.
Yeah.
And so it was like one of those game recognized game things, but as has been kind of the thing, Chechi is not a great defender. She doesn't have quick feet. She tries to use her length to get out there. But that is, the one flaw in her game is just defense. And those were backbreakers, because that is the one person on that team that you don't want shooting that open 3. And they did very simplistic ways to get her those passes, and the Valkyries were just, their team defense, which was so good in the first 3 quarters, by that fourth quarter, you would see, and there were moments where I'm like, why would you drop to cover a cutter when that's 2 points versus giving up the wide open 3 to their best 3-point shooter? Those are things that I'm sure the way that they drew up the defensive game plan, they were like, this is what we can. And so when you're tired and the game is late, and anybody who's played basketball knows that when you're fatigued, everything's moving so fast, and sometimes you don't make the smartest play. And they got caught a couple of times, like you said. That would be, I guess, that would be the only thing that I saw fundamentally where you're like, okay, if they could have made a change, it's there, but you need her for offense at the same time, and so you're playing that trade off, and you have to have her out there. It is really up to her to make those defensive switches to make sure that she doesn't get caught with her hand in the cookie jar like that. She was a +3. So the only person in this game for the Valkyries who was not in the plus and the plus minus, do you want to make a guess?
Carla or Kate would be my guess.
Actually, 2 players. You're right. Carla -9, Kyla Charles -17, which is almost impossible because she played 28 minutes. So she would have had to play all of the minutes early in the game where the Valkyries were on the court with her, had a small difference, and then late when they got blown off the court. But yeah, those were the 2. Kate was actually a +8. Kate only had 6 minutes, but not that we're patting ourselves on the back here in any way, but Natalie did not go to Kate that much in this game, which probably for the benefit because of again, you can't have the slower moving players. You can't have many of them on the court at the same time. By the way, I hope I didn't offend any of the people who were mad at us the last podcast when they thought we were blaming Kate. And I'm like, no, we love Kate. But if you're critiquing the game, you kind of got to call what you see. But Kate played well in her 6 minutes. She played well, obviously.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you see her, and there was a moment where I thought encapsulated like my joy in watching this team. So I thought MVP for the Valkyries was Monique Billings, who, like you said,
100%.
had to step in for Temi. Rupert got the start, but Billings played a lot of minutes, and she was so tired. And there's a moment where they're playing well, they're on a little bit of a run, they're going to commercial or whatever, and you see Kate and Monique just kind of like, little bit of elbow, and they were both just smiling so big. And you're like that is what this Valkyrie team was about all season long, like the unexpected team. And while they're playing great basketball, they're having so much fun because the crowd is so into it, and the Bay Area embraced it so much so that, according to Marissa and Jimmy, the Chronicle writer, she said that the SCP was just as loud as Chase for the Valkyries game. And it sounded like it on TV. The Go Valks chant, the GSV chants, like you could hear those things throughout the entire game long. So, like, but that moment, Kate and Monique, and they're sharing a moment, and there's almost kind of like, can you believe it? We're actually having a great game. Like, this is awesome. And then, of course, what happened, but that was just where I kind of it encapsulated the whole season for me.
That's what we were saying. Podhalla is a people, not a place. It travels. Yeah, I mean, I feel good about my take that Monique should have been playing a lot more in the last podcast, and I felt a little justified. Although I'm still kind of like, does Nat figure this out if Temi doesn't go down like that?
Sometimes it happens that way, right?
It does. But yeah, I should just pull up some of my notes here. But yeah, I thought that Nat utilized Kate in some of those short spurts that I feel like is more suited to like her style of play. And I have written down here like Kate quick 5 points. I think it was like a 2 from a ridiculously good pass from Chechi that she's able to score, and then a good 3. I'm like, perfect. This is exactly what we need. Second stint, I think it was more so because Chechi had to get subbed out for just messing up so much on defense, or maybe there was a foul call. Kate comes in, has to guard Heidemann, and it's like, we've seen this before. We know what might happen here.
Unfortunate.
Yeah, but they did a couple of the bigger lineups, which, they didn't do that much as I expected them to, given they had 4 centers under contract.
Yeah.
You had a lot of Rupert Monique lineup combinations, and just the way, like, you said with doubling Nafisa, like within that, Minnesota group, they're so good at shooting threes. They're probably the number 1 3-point shooting team, I'd guess. I should know this, but I was like, just don't let Bridget shoot. Like, of course, like you don't want any of them to shoot. They're all great shooters, but during this flow of the game, like I just didn't want Bridget to shoot. But like, of course, you don't want Nafisa to shoot. But at the same time, it's like I'd rather have Nafisa shoot a three than that patented like 3 more feet in just free throw range jumper that she's so good at.
Mid-range Jane there. She's money from that spot. Jeez.
Yeah. So, and then I had written just about everyone who usually plays has already played by the start of the second. And then I wrote Burton subbed out in all caps, start of the second, because I think Carla started for her in the second. And so they were able to buy her a couple minutes, but just the threes were falling. Like they were killing from 3 in the first half. I think we both probably expected that to not continue for the rest of the game.
Right.
And hoping, in my text chat with some of my friends, we had Marshall actually went to the game. One of
he did
friends,
go.
He did go. Him and his mom went, and he was texting like in real time, like, I'm worried about these threes because, they need to start getting to the rim in case those don't fall in the second half. And I was like, totally agree. Like,
well, okay. But you say that, and as a team, they shot 50% from 3.
Yeah, so what I'm saying is I think they only missed like a couple in the first half, so that evens out in the second. Like, what was the stat from the second half is what I'd be interested in.
Yeah, I don't know that I can find it in this box score necessarily.
Yeah, I mean, it for sure wasn't as good as the first half. The first half was damn near lights out. So, it couldn't have been. I bet you they probably shot like 20 to 30% from 3 in the second half, but it's because they shot like 80% in the first half. It just evens out like that. I'm
gonna see.
But yeah,
I can actually find it. Because what I wonder is if the WNBA box score actually has the splits, the half splits. So I will kind of check it out while we're having this conversation.
Yeah, I had written down that there was a play where Burton takes it to the rim and Alana Smith just stuffs it, and she just like, kind of emphatically like puts the ball to the ground and holds it there and then like walks away. And I'm like, ooh, that was interesting. And Veronica Burton almost pulls off the troll of the century, because literally like that baseline out of bounds play, not written up by Nat, there wasn't no timeout. It was just like instinctively throws it off of Alana Smith's back and goes for a fadeaway too.
And she missed it though.
Almost hit it.
I know. That was tight. There was another moment in the game where what was it? Kayla McBride. There was a foul, and so the play with there wasn't even like the referees already called the whistle, and she was kind of coming in, and Veronica kind of swiped at the ball, and so Kayla also kind of swiped and kind of pushed her back, and I was like, I wonder what Veronica's going to do here. She held her composure, but there were a couple of moments in this game where I was wondering if things were going to get a little rough. You saw Natalie on the sidelines going crazy at some of the rough play, and we know what she thought about the referees in game 1. I'm assuming she was a little bit more comfortable with how they called it, except for there were moments where Minnesota was overly aggressive, and I'm fine with that, especially if they don't call it. But then it's up to the Valkyries to be overly aggressive on the other side to see what they can get away with, and they kind of stayed within themselves. And that's also like a vet move thing. That's a vet team thing where you're kind of seeing how much you can get out of the young team and try and stop them at any point, take them out of their game. Valkyries didn't fall for it, but I would have liked to see a little bit of fight back there with some of that aggressiveness.
This team doesn't really get like, and I know this is not what you're inferring, but when you were like, oh, I wonder what Veronica's going to do when Kayla pushes her. Like, you think about this team, they haven't really gotten, like so many other teams have gotten into these like kind of pushing or just like getting close to face, looking like something's about to happen, like classic NBA thing. The Valkyries have yet to have one of those. They've only had 2 moments that I can remember where the Veronica Burton, Kelsey Plum trip, Veronica gets up and gets in her face, and then the Janelle Salon just absolutely shoving Jewel Lloyd, but none of those required like the team confrontations. They're just not that team. They mind their business.
Yeah, I can't find any of the splits on the WNBA box
I
score.
feel like I can almost guarantee you that they shot well under 50, well under 40 in the second half, because I know that I'm pretty sure they were almost lights out in that first half, or maybe I'm thinking about the first quarter stats, but I thought it was the first half stats. They were just like going nuts from three.
Yeah, I mean, they're 2-point shots. If you take away the threes, they were 17 of 42 from two. So that's interesting that they were that much worse shooting twos than threes, where the Lynx were the opposite of that. You take away the Lynx's threes, and they were 23 of 49 shooting. So they would have been almost 50% shooting. But that's the Valkyries team, right? That's how they lived and died by the 3-pointer.
And
And
defense.
for three, I'm mostly talking offensively. And for 3 quarters, that worked, and the 1 quarter it just didn't. And you had the single team. Maybe there's 2 teams that actually.
I'd say just the one. After what we saw, I feel like you're going to say
I was
Las
going to say
Vegas.
Las Vegas, but it's because
Asia
is that consistent bucket getter when they need a bucket, kind of like Nafisa is.
I think it's the one team that would have been able to come back against this team like the way they did, and it's Minnesota. I think they would have beaten Las Vegas. We saw it with Seattle yesterday, where, after the Seattle game, I was like, or before the Seattle game, I had made my take last game or after in our podcast, where I was like, if you get blown out in game 1, like, you're not winning game 2. You might have a close game 2, like we were saying, like it might be a couple possessions, but I was like, you're going to lose game 2 if you get blown out the way you did in game 1. Seattle said, watch us, and they got blown out badly in game 1 and were able to come back in game 2. So that's kind of why I say that. I think they beat Las Vegas here, and of course now we're getting down the road, but now I'm rethinking it. It's like, man, if they just beat Seattle, you would have gotten to play Atlanta. You might have actually won the series against Atlanta, because every other series, for those who don't know, is going to a game 3. Except for the Valkyries. All eyes are on the Valkyries to make every series go to 3, and I'm not sad about it at all. Like, they played their hearts out. Nothing more you can ask for.
You don't know how much of a pro Marissa is. She's already got the gamer up. The story is already up some 30 minutes after this basketball.
That's crazy, man. Yeah, she's probably writing at the most important moments of the game.
Yeah, that is incredible. All right, so before this game, Veronica Burton won Most Improved, like we thought, and then Natalie won Coach of the Year, which I believe came out today.
Yep.
So they're getting their accolades, much deserved. We expect something with rookie team. We expect something possibly with all NBA. We'll see. Could be, could not. But Janelle,
I'd say for sure, second team at least all defense for Veronica. Next most likely is Janelle, all rookie. Next most likely, which is probably not as likely, but I think there's still a possible chance, is Veronica, second team all W.
Yeah. So really, they're getting their due in those cases. And, I think they showed the entire WNBA tonight, because did you get to listen to No Off Season from over the weekend?
I did.
So Ben Pickman was essentially you, right? Where he was like, I don't think the Valkyries are going to play close. I think Minnesota is going to kind of do the same thing that they did in the first game. And I think if you thought about this in a smart way, I think that was probably the right take. My take was more along the lines of, because of this home game, I just thought they were going to play much better, and Minnesota's going to play worse. And I think both of those things were true. So not like I had this special Nostradamus like take or anything, but I just, watching as much playoff basketball as we've been able to watch, we've had the privilege to watch the Warriors. You can kind of feel these things sometimes. And the Valkyries were the beaten team on Sunday, but they weren't the beaten team where they hung their heads and they look like Jake Moody missing field goals. Like, that was not the Valkyries, right? They look like Ryan Walker blowing saves. That's not the Valkyries. The Valkyries are like, yeah, they got us, but we have this thing where we play so much better at home than we do on the road, and we the vibe and what's the new word that everyone uses now? The aura. All of those things were going to be in their favor, and I thought that was just that was my reason why, and that they just locked in on all of those things tonight, which was really fun to watch.
Yeah, they probably have the best home court advantage in the league, and I know people are going to point at like Minnesota's record at home, but given the personnel they have and what they, and you hear it, you literally like hear it. I think it's the best home court advantage in the W, and of course, the team they're playing in the first round probably has the second best home court advantage. Them or Indiana.
Mm-hmm.
So just a lot of again, I go back to it, just a terrible matchup for them. They hang their hat on defense. They hope that you don't have a better defense than them. And this was one of the two teams that had a better defense than them. But yeah, I'm telling you, you cannot reasonably ask for any much more than what they did tonight. Like I thought they had it. Until of course the one quarter that they never have it.
Do you have any thoughts? Has anything changed on what you thought about the playoffs based on the first round so far?
I think it's tough when like a player, you can tell they get hurt, but then they tough it out, and then you're like, I don't think you're like moving right, but like you look like you don't look like you're wincing every time you move.
Yeah.
So I'm mainly talking about Breanna Stewart here with our pick that New York is gonna win the 5-4 matchup against Phoenix. I switch my opinion now. I think that with Breanna going down, like there was just like they were just out for blood. Phoenix was against New York. I got to watch that whole game, and just Satu Sabli downhill, instead of just trying to shoot jumpers, it's like, you are such a talented player when you go to the rim. Just make Jonquel Jones have to worry about you and Alyssa Thomas at the rim. Like that changed the game. And I just don't know how, with an injured Breanna Stewart, with Emma Miesemann, who's not that good on perimeter defense, like I don't know what fix they have for it. So I'd switch my opinion there and say Phoenix. And then I'd still take the favorites. But I think we just gave Coach Cheryl Reeve was saying like we treat this team like they could beat anyone. Mm-hmm. She might have said that. I didn't feel like I
don't think so either.
Minnesota, it's all fun and games. Like the Stud Buds did a very an iconic stream. I think it was yesterday or 2 days ago where Natisha Heidemann gets glammed up by Dejanay Carrington, and it just goes absolutely viral. And in my head, I'm like, man, they're not worried about us at all.
Yeah.
But I think we woke them up, and I think we actually just did a good service to the Minnesota Lynx, who are now woken up and will probably dominate the rest of the playoffs, no question in my mind. So yeah, I think I'd say all the top seeds win, Phoenix included, and then you have a Las Vegas, Minnesota finals, and I think Minnesota probably takes care of business there, but I hope for it to be entertaining.
We gotta get that finals. We gotta get Nafisa and Asia. It's
like Bron KD.
It has to be that way. You have, and of course, I always think about marketing stories when it comes to this stuff, but I think the stat was viewership was up 6% this year from last year, which is kind of crazy because there was no Kate. Now, I think some of that had to do a little bit of just the high, like you brought in new viewers last year. Now, how many of them
brought in an entirely new fan base too?
How many of them churned out and how many of them stayed? Like obviously some of them stayed for them to increase. And, we saw obviously Golden State, at least locally, I'm going to guess that along with all the sellouts, that they probably did pretty good local viewership as well, even though the KPIX broadcast sucks.
The broadcast looked a little weird today, and it was the ESPN broadcast. I was like, am I watching a local broadcast right now? It just, they didn't, it looked weird. It felt a little farther out, like the view, than what I'm used to at Chase.
I wonder if it had anything to do with the SAP Center.
I mean, that's what
because they don't have basketball generally,
that's what
right?
I 100% think it was.
By the way, I use the new ESPN app, which is very cool. I don't watch enough ESPN to necessarily take advantage of it, but I like the little features in there. It's a very intuitive, like, new age 2025 kind of app where you can kind of track all the you can live bet through the app.
Jeez. New age.
Well, in California, it's illegal, so we wouldn't be able to do it. But yeah, just really really good stuff. But yeah, man, I think at the end of the day, if you are trying to uh the narrative is here's our two top players, best of 7, and it'd be great if that actually went to a game 7. And then next year you have these two historic players in Asia and Nafisa. And then on this side, you got, Caitlin and Paige. And then marketing wise, you're like, okay, like y'all are the best right now, but we're coming. Like that kind of thing. I love that kind of thing. So that would be for me a marketing dream to be able to do stuff like that. So I'm hopeful for Nafisa in Asia. I think it would bring the highest level of visibility that you can without a Caitlin Clark. But they've learned how to deal without her this year. Most of the season has been without Caitlin. So, she's going to come back next year with something to prove, a little bit of a chip on her shoulder.
I hope she plays Unrivaled, because that if she doesn't, she wouldn't have had played basketball for such a long time, because she's not playing overseas.
Yeah, maybe if she wasn't injured. That's the only thing, is that because if she gets
But
hurt
Unrivaled's in
again,
January.
I know, but what if she gets hurt again and then she misses out on some of the season? That won't be great.
It's not, and I know she doesn't need, like, of course she doesn't need like the dollars, but when you just go so long without playing, she hasn't played since before the All-Star break, and then she won't play again until if she doesn't play any off-season basketball, like competitive basketball, whenever the season starts in like May. Like that's a long time when you're able to play, because she's not playing overseas. She's, it's a shorter schedule than the NBA. Like those guys, play in October through sometimes June, and then you play again in October. Like it's not that much of an off season. But I think the WNBA was pretty reactionary to changing some stuff as a result of last postseason. And the first thing was that in the first round, giving the away team a home game in the second game. And the reason they did that was because Caitlin Clark didn't get a home game against Connecticut last year. It was very reactionary. And then they changed the finals from 5 to 7 because of how good the finals were last year, and went to 5, and we all wanted 7, and they changed it. I wish the NBA would be a little reactionary like that sometimes. And I'd say this first one, home run. How many people are going to be watching game 3, me included? Like I'm going to be glued to my TV screen to watch all those game 3s.
All right. So we are going to take a little bit of a break and probably just come back next week. Had the Valkyries won, we would have been back after game 3, but they're not. And so we'll do our normal time frame next week sometime. May have to be Wednesday, because I think I'm headed to your neck of the woods and we're going to go see a movie on Thursday night. So it may have to be Wednesday. But yeah, so, we'll kind of wrap things up here, and we have a lot. There's going to be so much news with the off season. I saw you posted in the Discord, Richard Cohen's his website. They put together a free agent list or something. So that, for us now, it's free agent season. Now it's the postseason or the off season. But so there's gonna be so much to talk about. Trades, like we put up the Angel Reese short the other day. We had a side conversation a couple of shows ago about, if Angel shook loose and wanted to come to Golden State, would the Valkyries be interested? And lots of comments on the short about how much of not a great fit that she would be. But I think it's because people see her as very one-dimensional, and they see this current team as like the how the offense flows and stuff, and they kind of wonder. But
I think people see her as a locker room cancer, and I was trying to say that's not the case. You can't draw that conclusion so fast. We don't know.
I didn't see. I only saw one person mention that. The other folks in the comments specifically mentioned fit on offense. But yeah. So it's stuff like that. is going to be the talk of this show. We're going to talk about all of the little things that you may hear. And look, this is the first time that the Valkyries are going to be in the mix for some of these players. And which of the big timers, which of the big time players came into San Francisco and was like, wow, this thing is kind of first class all the way. Because I think Joe Lacob may be banking on that. It's not like, we'll see with the CBA, but it's not like today you can pay someone so much more than what their value is, or so much more than another team. So it's not like Joe can just go, hey, I'll just pay you twice as much. Like, that's not really how it works. But I think if the cap increases and if the salaries increase like we think, he is one of the owners who's not going to be afraid to pay top dollar for the right talent. I think there's going to be some owners who are a little bit worried about finances who may not want to pay top dollar for certain players. And the Golden State Valkyries will be the beneficiary of those other organizations. So that's going to be something fun. We'll do draft stuff. We'll have Conrado back on here to talk draft. So it's going to be a really, really fun offseason because, like you said, there's a lot of months until the next season starts. But we'll have college hoop. We'll be able to talk about college hoop a little bit. And I'm going to need to pick a team. Like, I don't know what team I'm going to kind of keep my eye on. Last year, I tried to keep an eye on Connecticut and USC, but now Juju's not going to be playing for most of the year, I'm assuming. So I'll have to find a team to kind of keep
like
my
South
eye
Carolina.
on. Yeah, I mean, they're on TV a lot anyways, so you could see a lot of Dawn. But all right, so we're going to wrap this up. And thanks to everybody who popped in for the stream.
And also don't be sad that the Valkyrie season is over. It was like the coolest season I've ever watched. Fun.
I thought you were gonna say just be glad that it happened.
A lot to look forward to. We got number 4 Yuste coming to play next season.
That's another thing. We're gonna get to see her. And is she gonna? She's got to move to the U.S. That's a whole thing. That's that. I hope. I hope the WNBA does more stuff like the NBA does with like these little documentaries about the rookies and their adjustments. And I would love to see stuff on Yuste and how
she some stuff on the WNBA app, but
how she translates and how she's got to change her upend her lifestyle and come play. Now she doesn't have to stay here for the whole season. It's just during the season, but still that's a jump for someone who's as young as she is as well.
And you got some Valkyries to watch. The Unrivaled roster additions haven't been announced yet. I think that's on like the 23rd of September or something, but I bet we can almost pencil in Veronica's going to play Unrivaled. You'll have a couple Valkyries playing Unrivaled, a couple overseas. Women's basketball, like the no offseason pod suggests, never stops. It's no offseason. You go from WNBA right to college, right back to WNBA with an Unrivaled season in there during the college season. It's just nonstop. So always stuff to watch. We got the 8th pick. Like you said, I think we're going to have some suitors for free agency that will want to join. I'm really interested to see when those conversations start up because Unrivaled makes free agency so fun. So I hope Veronica and Kate get to they start talking in some of those players' ears and say, hey, do you want to come to San Francisco? It's really fun. But just a lot of things to look forward to for this team. It's literally only up from here. So good season.
All right. Like I said, we'll be back next week for the rest of this network. Rod and I will be back sometime Sunday evening, Monday morning. We haven't fully decided yet with We Want Winners as the 49ers play the Arizona Cardinals this weekend. And then Brad and I will be back, I believe, on Monday with Thompson and Clark. And the Giants squeaked one out today. By the way, shout out to De'Arion, I believe is how you pronounce the name, who said, we're going to be back better than ever next season. Go Valks. Agreed. I mean, they should be better, even if they have even if they have a similar season. They're still only going to be in their second season, but I think we all think that they're kind of like at least improving a little bit because this first
now they have a bar.
This first season kind of created everything and just build up from here.
Now they have a bar. Let's win a playoff round next year. you know, you get Kayla back and you have all the returners, hopefully a couple additions, and you stay and draft pick that they get, and then a couple free agents, and yeah, just go get it.
And on the audio side, if you're listening to this, I've thrown an invite to the Discord in the show notes on the podcast. So if you're interested in joining the Discord, we're letting a few people in. So make sure you click on that and just come hang out with us. Going to be some WNBA playoff chats going on in there, hopefully. So, all righty. It was a great season. Podhalla. We did it for covering the Valkyries in their first season. So we'll be back at some point next week with the Golden State Hoop podcast, where we will talk Valkyries on our Podhalla segment. We'll also talk Warriors, as I think the Warriors get into camp in like 2 weeks. So that's coming soon as well. Okay, for Bry, I am Double G. We will see you when we see you. Peace out.